part of the forecast. So yes, it's moved from being stationary to 1, 2, 3 miles per hour now, about 5, 6 miles per hour. But the forecast remains unchanged. The timeline of the system remains unchanged, expecting the core of strongest winds to cross the shorelines around Monday and landfalling expected still on Tuesday morning.
Yeah, we have been getting videos from people in communities across the island and seeing from Rocky Point storm surges, Roselle in St. Thomas, storm surges as well, and Manchonil as well as Boston in Portland. Will that ease up before the eye comes, or will it just get worse?
It will get worse. The eye is pretty much dead south of Kingston, about 180 kilometers south of Kingston. And with that said, the wind flow out of the northeast, pushing water, pushing the Caribbean Sea on land around Portland, St. Mary. So they're getting the initial effects of that storm surge, or that inland flow of wind around that portion of the island. And further east, further east across St. Thomas, expecting as the system moves north or west and then north, that onflow wind will then shift towards the south of the island. So you can expect the storm surge impacts to then reach into, let's say, for instance, St. Catherine, Kingston, and St. Andrew, and Clarendon, the south of the island.
Yeah, we saw some videos of persons doing some sports, water sports, or by Bob Marley Beach. Perhaps they can swim. Is that advisable, though?
It's never advisable. Persons are doing so at their own risks, but it's not advisable to venture out. The seas are rough, and yeah, it's never advisable.
Yeah.
Javoy, the next couple of hours, what will Jamaica look like?
The next couple of hours, well, it's hard to say. Weather-wise, though, you can expect the showers to then become more consistent across eastern parishes, as we are pretty much on the outer fringes of the main rain bands of the system. And next couple of hours into tonight, can expect these periodic showers to extend across towards the west of the island. But as the system inches closer and closer, expecting the wind to pick up more consistently, moving from just squally weather to consistent, sustained tropical force winds, and then into the hurricane force winds come tomorrow morning.
Yeah, and finally, before we let you go, Javoy, how long are we expected to be affected by the heavy parts of Hurricane Melissa before it kind of eases the country?
On the current forecast track, the landfall is expected sometime Tuesday morning. So you can expect before that to start feeling the brunt of a hurricane. That's what, Monday night into Tuesday landfall, and then Tuesday afternoon as the system pulls northwards. So we can expect conditions to deteriorate Monday night, worsen on Tuesday, and somewhat alleviate Tuesday night into Wednesday.
All right, thank you so much. That's meteorologist Javoy Sawyers providing us the update, latest on what's happening regarding Hurricane Melissa, which has now changed from a tropical storm. Let's make that clear for our viewers, Gio. It has changed from a tropical storm and is now a Category 4 hurricane. And
we should say that the National Hurricane Center based in the United States as well is forecasting that this could worsen to become a Category 5 hurricane. Now let's go then to our reporter Giselle Mills, who is in downtown Kingston, close to the waterfront area, to give us the very latest on what she's seeing on the ground. Giselle. Giselle, what are you seeing?
Carbonell, and I must say the rain is coming in on and off heavy, and then the wind is powerful, because even as I speak now, I'm actually holding on for dear life, because as soon as the wind comes at me, I'm actually blowing. The force of the wind is blowing me backwards.
Yeah, we do want you to keep safe out there, Giselle, so as much as you can, please be safe. Are you seeing people on the road? I'm seeing somebody riding a bicycle behind you just now. What are you seeing around you?
All right, so I have a Scott here right now. I saw many people, but I have Scott here right now. I saw him videoing and having a whole heap of fun time on his time. So Scott, what are you out here exactly doing?
Okay, check out your great content on YouTube. And to just what the storm looks like heading into the hurricane and encouraging them to stay safe and so on and so forth.
Right, so there has been a lot of activities. Even now, as I look, I see young people standing and having their opportunity to talk, which I do in Jamaica, and this is something that is fun. It might seem fun now, but it's been great. It's even though the force is surprising at this time. Even the sea has come over there, it's coming in, and it seems that it's so, yeah. Real, no, real science here.
Yeah. All right. So thank you so much, Drusilla. And we do want to apologize to our viewers. The audio quality.
You can tell it's because of how windy out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very windy.
Definitely.
Let's go then to the very latest from the National Works Agency. We do have Stephen Shaw on Zoom. We also have on Zoom Amoy Audrey Williams, the Media and Public Relations Manager at the Jamaica Public Service Company. Good evening and welcome to the both of you.
Hi, good afternoon, Joe.
Good afternoon, thank you.
Yeah. Audrey, let's start with you then. This morning at the press conference, the JPS CEO spoke about islanding the service on the network depending on where is being affected more seriously than another. Could you just explain that for our viewers and what that means if and when some of them begin to experience outages?
Right, so what the CEO was referring to was literally having it in two separate segments, it meaning the grid. So that's in response to the question, are we going to be shutting down the grid? That's a common question. And in fact, let me just say that there's a lot of fake news out there saying we have a schedule, we're going to cut it off at this time. None of that is the case. That's not happening. We are watching to see how it goes. However, to explain what he said, he's basically saying we're trying to make, as it were, two islands within the grid so that if anything, you don't have the entire thing going on, you can just take down one section while you still have the other section going, or vice versa. But it all depends on the severity of what we're seeing, what the damage is looking like, and then we can know, okay, is this something that we can hold on and ride through, or do we need to just say, all right, this section is going to go down and we're going to continue with this other one. And then at the end of it all, we bring that other section back up. So that's basically, in very layman's terms, what he was referring to.
Yeah. We also heard at the Joint Utilities press briefing this morning, Audrey, that you're bringing in more workers to assist with what he said was what will be rebuilding and not just repairing. What are you expecting in terms of the impact of Tropical Storm Melissa on the grid?
Yes, absolutely. So we already have just a touch over 70 workers who were flown in from St. Vincent and the United States and Canada. We actually have made contractual arrangements prior to all of this several months ago with other agencies in the United States to have contractors come in. So we don't even have a cap really on how many people we can bring in under the circumstances. So what we have right now has bumped our crew by over 30%, and they are coming there raring to go. They're just ready to do the work. If it is that we find that the situation is such that we're going to need more boots on the ground, more hands on deck, we've already put those arrangements in place, and so we can receive more workers from 2 agencies in the United States. And when we had our initial discussion, we actually discussed 200 workers coming in. So if needs be, we'll add another 200 or more. And this, of course, is in addition to the line workers that we already have, who, as we know, are experts in their field. And so this has nothing to do with whether they're experts or not. This is just about more hands on deck so we can be more efficient and just get the job done. Rebuilding is a conversation that has arisen now that it's no longer Tropical Storm Melissa, and it's now Hurricane Melissa, and it's not even a low-grade hurricane. It's a Category 4, looking to be a Category 5. So we anticipate that with this change in the status of this weather system, we may have not just a matter of, all right, we need to, reconnect some people and put up back some wires. We are looking at the possibilities going beyond that to a complete rebuild in some sections. We really, really hope it doesn't come to that. But realistically speaking, that is a possibility.
Yeah,
when we look at things like storm surges, we do have power plants that can be impacted by storm surges.
Yeah.
Thankfully, not all of our power plants would be, because Bogue is pretty much in from the coast quite a bit.
Audrey, before you continue, we do have to get a word in from Stephen Shaw, but before I let you go, can't let you go without asking, we're hearing all of these, increased numbers in terms of the contractors that you're bringing into the country, and very much prepared to bring in more, plus the rebuild of the network in terms of whatever destruction you're predicting that may happen, projecting that may happen. How will this impact Jamaicans' light bill? There was a major sore point last year. If at all, how, if at all, will it impact the light bills?
No. So bringing in workers will not impact the light bill at all. I know that that is a discussion that is happening now about what's happening to the bill and so on. The discussions about the bill were revolving around the use of fuel and the different types of fuel that we use, and what will be available at this time. Or the workers, that has no bearing on the bill. People don't have to be afraid when they're seeing people coming in. No bearing on the bill whatsoever.
In terms of the damage or destruction to your grid, though, and the extent of that, could that possibly impact light bills? I think that's the more pertinent question.
Okay. Well, no, not initially, and here's why. We have what's called an emergency disaster fund. Now, how this works is that typically island states like ours can't get decent insurance for our transmission network because it is outdoor, it's open, and pretty much you can't get insurance companies to give you a decent coverage at a cost that's even remotely reasonable. So what we have is a form of self-insurance where we save over the years, and that is a disaster fund. And it's not a fund that's just there for anything that crops up. Has to be a real disaster, and it is monitored. We have to give account to the OUR, and we can't just go in there. We have to say, well, this is what has happened over the period. These are the number of different types of equipment that we need to replace, etc. And it is from that fund that the repair and the restoration will now take place. In previous years, we did not have that fund, and so persons might remember way back, I think it was Ivan, we did not have that fund, and so the repairs impacted their bills. But we do have the fund in place, and so the repairs would not impact their bills at this point because we're able to draw down funds when something like this happens.
And just before we're bringing Mr. Shaw, Ms. Williams, in 30 seconds, as always, CVM has ears on the ground. So we're hearing the concerns and the complaints of Jamaicans. And right now we're seeing where thousands of Jamaicans are already without electricity. One, can you tell us, and the comment is, how Melissa not leaked the country yet, but already people not no light. So one, can you talk to us about whether or not this is connected or related to Hurricane Melissa? And two, is this something that will be more widespread come, say, tomorrow, Tuesday, when Melissa make landfall?
Okay. Well, I tell you what, Amoy, ironically, sometimes the outages are caused by people's preparation. What we're seeing, and we even had to do a post about it, what we're seeing is people going out, cutting trees, and the trees falling on the lines and causing outages. So that's one reason why we're having outages. I saw something else. We got some material where there's a little landslide. It brought down a big breadfruit tree and crashed into the wires and broke them. So we're getting some amount of impact already because remember now the soil is already saturated. So it's not hard for landslides and even small slippages to take place that bring down trees, boulders, what have you, onto the network. So those are some of the reasons. Some of them are completely unrelated to the system. And in as much as we are able to, we are getting out there and doing the repairs. We actually have outages at a very, very low level. We have outages presently in keeping with what would be normal on any given day when you have, say, motor vehicle accidents and all kinds of other things that interfere with the grid. We are not seeing any kind of real escalation at this time.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. That is Media and Public Relations Manager at JPS, Miss Audrey Williams. Let's now bring in Mr. Shaw. That's Mr. Stephen Shaw, who's Communications and Customer Services Manager at NWA. Mr. Shaw, Gio and I were at the joint briefing earlier today where Minister Vaz, who's also an MP down by Portland, who shared that, you know, already sections of Portland is seeing
Hope Bay Valley.
Hope Bay landslides. Talk to me about what's happening on the ground.
All right. Yes, we have had reports of sections of the country being impacted by the weather system. In Portland, the road into the Buff Bay Valley, which is what you're referencing now, was being impacted. We had deployed heavy equipment into the space to try and remove the landslide that was impacting that area. It's crucial because we understand that one of the telecoms providers, they have an installation in the area, and they wanted to go in there to try and secure and service what they have there for the benefit of the persons in that space. We did get reports too of impact in St. Anne and St. Thomas. I'm sure that we'll continue to get these reports as the hours tick by, because it's a big system, it's a slow-moving system, it's a lot of rainfall. We have a lot of areas that are susceptible to landslides, mud flows, flooding generally, and so we are pretty much at the ready to respond, and that we will do while not compromising the safety of our officers or the key stakeholders with whom we work, the contractors.
Yeah. I just want to follow up on those points, Stephen. The issue in the Buff Bay Valley, Minister Vaz said at the press conference this morning that he wanted to have that sorted immediately because it's one way in, one way out from that community. Can you share whether that issue has been resolved yet, the landslides, whether it has been cleared?
Equipment had been deployed there like 2 hours ago. I will have to get an update as to where we are with that, but it is something that we're aware of, and as I said, equipment had been deployed there.
Yeah, we saw a fallen tree in Ramble, St. Thomas as well. Has that been removed just yet?
No, I am not in a position to tell you what's happening there. You are bringing this one to my attention for the first time.
Okay, we'll share that video with you. We saw a fallen tree blocking the road in Ramble, St. Thomas. Where else in St. Thomas are there issues? You mentioned St. Thomas, and specifically where in St. Thomas right now?
We had tree falling in Wilmington. That issue was dealt with.
And in St. Anne?
In St. Anne, we had fallen tree along the road from Golden Grove to Draxall.
Yeah, we had several reports here on CVM TV about bamboo at several locations in Westmoreland and Hanover. The Carburetor River was one of them, and another area as well. What's happening with the clearing of the bamboo in those areas? Because residents say, you know, the gullies need to flow right there, and the bamboo is blocking it from water.
All right, so we have been on a drive to remove garbage, debris, generally silt, from drains, gullies, and waterways, rivers, to include rivers. We have done, and we are doing work in Westmoreland. I'm not sure of this specific area that you're referencing in relation to the Carburetor. I know in Grange, there were bamboos impacting the space. In Lucy, the Riley River was being impacted by a lot of poles, and we have been inside there. We have removed much, if not all, that was present in this space. And so the water should be able to freely flow out to sea. But while saying that, there's a caution though, because we see these things at the exit point close to the bridges, because either through natural occurrences, these trees fall into the waterways, or in some instances they are cut by persons needing them for things like yam sticks, and sometimes when they're cut, they fall into the river, they don't retrieve, and of course they come down, they float downstream when they become dry. And that's part of the challenge. It is something that will have to be addressed. And in addressing it, I think ultimately what will have to happen is that in both instances that I have seen, the bridges might have to be replaced.
Mr. Shaw, the drains and the gullies that you mentioned that the NWA has been partnering with other agencies to clean, infrastructure is one of, if not the biggest concern right now where Hurricane Melissa is concerned. How well will our infrastructure hold up? Can you say with confidence that the cleaning works that happened the past week, the past few days, because even here at CVM, we've been seeing the reports, Westmoreland, Clarendon, can you say with confidence that that cleanup effort is enough to mitigate against severe flooding? Because this seems to be the solution in terms of preparations, cleaning the drains, cleaning the gullies. What the agencies, including NWA, have done, is it enough?
All right, so I'll respond to you this way. If you know Jamaica, you will understand that the land is susceptible to several things. Flooding is one of them. Landslides are another. Rock falls, another. Some areas naturally flood because of where they are. They are on the plains. Some communities are in areas that were reclaimed. There were mangroves and so on. And so this will almost guarantee that flooding will occur. In other instances, we move to try and mitigate incidents of flooding. How do we mitigate? We have culverts that we put in. There are open drains that are put in. And you have rivers that naturally flow in some areas.
Thanks so much.
All of these things have capacities that they can accommodate. So when you build a road and you put in a 2-foot culvert, because normally you can mitigate normal flows with a 2-foot culvert. When you have abnormal circumstances, when you're told that you're going to get between 25 and 30 inches of rain, even a 2-foot culvert would not mitigate 30 inches. So you're going to have flooding. In some instances, some of the rivers are big and wide, but they overtop. Again, because of the intensity of the rainfall, the capacity of these channels are exceeded. And so we are not able to treat with the situation. So a category 4 or 5 hurricane moving slowly will certainly cause flooding. It will cause landslides. It will cause rock falls. It will cause trees to fall down. But what I can say is that where we have gone in and we have done work, what we have done is to have made those areas far more resilient, so much so that where there will be downtime, meaning the corridor is becoming unavailable this should be shorter because of the work that we have done.
Yeah, two last questions before we let you go, Stephen Shaw. The areas of junction that connects St. Andrew to St. Mary and also the Bogwalk Gorge in St. Catherine, that general area prone to landslides, both of those areas. What's the plan in terms of responding to those areas?
Once it is safe for us to go in and respond, we will.
Okay. All right. So that's it.
How long
from
before I see
Stephen Shaw, the Manager of Communication from the National Works Agency. And before him, we heard from Audrey Williams from the Jamaica Public Service.
All right, so we're going now to Clarendon, where our reporter Akeem Oret is on the ground and providing us with the latest. Akeem?
And we're standing by. While we stand by to get that report from Akeem Amoy, just want to say to our viewers, we have teams out in St. Elizabeth as well. We'll be getting an update from Omari Wilson a little bit later.
Yes.
As well, we'll be covering St. Elizabeth down by Treasure Beach, that side in southwest St. Elizabeth. That area was severely affected last year by Hurricane Beryl, and we will be having a team stationed down in that area specifically to give us the very latest from Treasure Beach.
And let's remind our viewers the times that we'll be on
yes,
throughout
so
the day.
At the end of this broadcast, we'll be coming back to you at 3 o'clock and again at 5 o'clock. And then before that, of course, we'll be having our main news at 7 o'clock.
Yes.
That's news at 7. Let's go now to Akeem Oret, who's in Clarendon.
Thanks so much from studio. Now, I'm here in Farka Beach, Milk River, Clarendon, where it is a flood-prone community. And as you can see behind me, there is currently a storm surge. There are strong waves, there's a rough sea out there, and shops are being filled with water already. And residents here are saying for Hurricane Beryl last year, the impact of that is one they don't want to experience again. So they have started packing already, evacuating, and saying they don't want to experience an impact like this again. They are worried about their shops. One resident told our newsroom that for the impact of Hurricane Beryl last year, the only thing she could save was the clothes on her back. So we'll have that story in our news at 7. So stay tuned to our social media pages to see the latest happening. It's back to you, studio.
All right, thank you so much for that report there from our reporter in Clarendon, Akeem Oret Amoy. That area, I know it very well. It's close to Gimham a bit. Garvey Massiers is down that side as well. Milk River, that's the general area. It's a fishing beach, and you can see almost halfway that shop, you know, is
right.
half of the shop is underwater already. So that community has to be very careful. It's one of the communities as well that has been listed by the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management as a high-risk community, and that should in fact be evacuated. And we will be going through some of those communities for our viewers momentarily. But we just want to bring up, so you can see right now, a live shot of the flat bridge that's in the Bogwalk Gorge in St. Catherine. Now the water has risen a bit since yesterday, and you can see now that live shot of the flat bridge there. That's an area we'll be monitoring closely, because as soon as the water begins to rise to a level where it's coming on the road, I'm sure they will be closing off that area for to vehicular access, because that's a very dangerous area. We've seen several vehicles tumbling over the flat bridge over there, and that's something we don't want to see any at all this year. But at the moment, people and motorists are making their way through that area, but the water is rising, we understand, as we stand by to get some more updates from our team. We do have Caroline Brown, who is out in St. Anne, and we'll be going to her shortly before the day ends.
The shot that we just saw down by Flatbridge, as well as, the scene behind Akeem that we saw earlier, it kind of feeds into the fear that a lot of Jamaicans have right now. We aren't truly feeling the full effects of Melissa, and already landslides. We're seeing, water rising, and it kind of, because I think the fear right now among a lot of Jamaicans is that what we're about to see in a few days, tomorrow, in a few hours, Jamaica has never experienced that
Unprecedented.
before.
It absolutely is. And every time we hear about hurricane, my mother and my grandparents and other people who are older than I am always speak about Gilbert. 1988 Gilbert, and how dangerous Gilbert was and how Jamaica was affected by that. This one, if you heard Evan Thompson yesterday, the head of the Met Office, speaking, it will be worse than Gilbert. So that is something that we are also monitoring carefully. The fact that this will, and the fact that it's going so slowly, like it's barely crawling. And that's why I think there's a lot of anxiety among Jamaicans, because we have been having the press conferences for at least, 4 days now, since about Tuesday, thereabouts. We've been having press conferences every single day. And so because of that, people, the anticipation is, and so the anxiety is building. And so...
You also have to touch on those Jamaicans who, and I really would want us to talk about this, Giovanni, the ones who may not be taking it as seriously.
I actually spoke to someone or a few people in Barbican, St. Andrew this morning, and I spoke to a gentleman, a Rastaman, and he was saying, listen, no hurricane now come.
Right.
Them always do this, and them only do it because they want people to buy bread.
Right.
And I was like, are you serious, or are you trying to be controversial right now? And he was dead serious. So there are those people who are doubtful because of how long the announcements have been coming and the fact that we haven't had the impact as yet.
Right.
But I think it's a difficult balance to find, because what does the government do? Not update the country and tell them to prepare, or update the country daily so that people can prepare. But in doing that as well, there's a concern for many people who are now becoming anxious and impatient, because lives are being upended, because you have to stop now and prepare for this. So that's the kind of dilemma that we have right now. So it's a tricky situation.
Right, and some of it too is actually personal responsibility, because the government can have 10 press briefings per day, but if you as an individual, Tom or Palm or John, who's at home watching these press briefings, if you don't take the matters seriously, then you're not going to prepare, right? Yeah. So Jamaicans at home who are watching, don't take the matter lightly. I hope you are preparing or have already prepared.
In the meantime, let's take a look then at some of the towns and cities across Jamaica that will be impacted and what time they will be impacted. We have this information coming in from the New York Times. And so Maypen, the earliest reasonable impact is at 4 o'clock Monday. That's what the New York Times is predicting for Maypen in central Jamaica.
And we're seeing where Montego Bay, its earliest reasonable time, Monday at 5 p.m.
And for Kingston, here in Kingston, it's Monday at 8 p.m. We'll start feeling some serious impacts.
And Spanish Town, Jamaica, similarly 8 p.m. on Monday, but most likely at Tuesday at 4 a.m.
Right, it's the same Tuesday at 4 a.m. for Kingston as well in terms of the most likely time that will be feeling the heaviest impact. Tuesday at 2 a.m. as well for Montego Bay, Jamaica.
And in Maypen, most likely Tuesday at 1 a.m.
So this is the prediction coming in from our friends at the New York Times that we're just giving to you. And so people who are in these particular areas can brace and expect it to be impacted at that point. And as we bring up right now, Amoy, again, the path, as we're speaking with Javoy Sawyers earlier, it's moving further west from Jamaica, the center of the eye of the hurricane here. But as Mr. Sawyer said, it actually doesn't matter where, once the eye is passing over.
We'll feel the effects either way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I just want to share with our viewers just some of the communities that are said to be flood prone and should possibly be evacuated. And because we had Akeem Oret in Clarendon there, we just want to start with Clarendon to share some of the communities, and I'm just going to go through them. Ainan Town, Ali, Ashley, Bushy Park, Crooked River, Denby, Four Paths, Frankfield, Freetown, Glenmuir, Hayes, Lionel Town, Longville Park, Longwood, Maypen, Milk River, Mitchelltown, that's the community I'm from, Osborne Store, Penance, Portland Cottage, close to Mitchelltown, Rock River, Rocky Point, again, close to Mitchelltown. Those three communities adjoin each other. Smithville, Thompsontown, Tollgate, and Trouthall. So those are the communities in Clarendon,
Clarendon alone.
that are flood-prone communities. And we will share some as well now from Manchester.
In neighboring Manchester, we have Mandeville, Porus, Scotts Pass, Black River, Big Woods, Braes River, Bull Savannah, Ginger Hill. All right, now we're going into St. Elizabeth. We're actually going into St. Elizabeth now because we have Holland, Junction, Lacovia, Middle Quarters, Newmarket, Pisgah, Santa Cruz, Top Hill, Treasure Beach, I can't help but to feel a little bit concerned.
For Treasure Beach?
The total number of communities that we're seeing here on this list.
Because we have so many communities on the south coast of the country, so many fishing communities as well.
Right.
And again, as Evan mentioned, catastrophic winds. If you live in these lowland areas, leave these communities. I heard the announcement from the police. I saw a video with the police in Old Harbour Bay telling persons that they have to leave now and head up to the shelter at Old Harbour High School. So we know that the authorities are doing what they need to do in terms of asking community members to leave. And let's just go through a little bit of the communities in St. Catherine that need to be, that are flood prone: Above Rocks, Bogwalk, Brayton, Bridgetown, Cumberland, Edgewater, Ensom, Ewarton, Gingeridge, Glengough, Golden Acres, Greater Portmore, Greendale, Hampton Green, Helshaw, popular area, Helshaw, Independence City, Linstead, Lloydersville, Nagohead, Old Harbour Bay, Old Harbour Road, Spanish Town, St. John's East, St. John's West, Troja, Waterford, and Willowdene. These are the communities in St. Catherine which are flood-prone communities. So all of these we have to monitor as well, Amoy. These countries and these these communities in these parishes need to be evacuated. We also have some from Westmoreland as well that the ODPEM has shared with us.
And these include Big Bridge, Bluefields, Frome, Matney Lands, Little London, Savannah Lamar Business, Negril, 3 Miles River.
Right. Shifting gears a little bit now, going back to that press conference earlier, we saw the head of Flow sharing some pictures with us at that press conference.
Yes.
Already we are seeing vandalism of the network cables, and I think we have some images that they shared with us showing along the Kasha Park area in St. Andrew, along Reddy Hills Road, vandalism to their network cables already, and this only affects Osamoy.
Disheartening. The matter is disheartening, and it kind of ties into the point I made earlier, somewhat, wherein some Jamaicans don't take the matter as seriously. And I know right now for Flow as well, there are currently connectivity issues. I mean, Flo mentioned at the press briefing that this is not related to the vandalism that they saw. However, you know, persons from who have both Flow connections as well as digital connections, they're already reporting, you know, challenges making calls, sending text messages. So already
I couldn't speak to my team this morning once I drove out of my home and I was no longer in Wi-Fi. I could not make any
so
contact
we're already,
with people,
you know, having those type of challenges. But we also have another reporter who's on the ground and is joining us now with an update. Curlin Brown. Curlin, what's happening in your neck of the woods?
King Melissa, we spotted a police unit, and so we decided to trail it and see where it's going. It has taken us to this location, and with me is the officer who was driving. What took you here, sir?
Right, so last night while I was on duty, I got a call from an anonymous caller that there's a lady in this rural area that lives alone, an old lady, and she might need some assistance from the police to probably get a shelter or some form of relocation. So hence, I purpose that before I leave for home, where my safety, I ensure that she's actually safe. So here am I just trying to see what we can do to assist her to be safe in this system.
I see a little girl. Wow, she said she wants to ask a question.
How are you?
Hi, what's your name?
My name is Adi, and sometimes.
All right, and we do apologize for the audio issues there on that insert from Curlin. And I was looking at the video when she shared it with us a short while ago, and we saw a lady's house in St. Anne flooded already. They had several pots moving around in that household, and she's an elderly lady living by herself. That's actually a little bit, you know, heartbreaking, and we just want to urge Jamaicans, if you know an elderly person in your community who lives alone, you know, check on those persons, check on persons with disabilities in your communities, ensure that, you know, they are okay, ensure that they are well. Remember that they're not able to move as well as you are able to move around as well as we can. And I just want to share with our viewers once more the number that the Ministry of Labour and Social Security had shared with us that persons with disabilities can contact, and that's 876-447-0444. This is a WhatsApp line for persons with disabilities. If you're having difficulties and you need to be evacuated or get help to evacuate from your community, please WhatsApp this number. Just once again for our viewers, this is 876-447-0444. WhatsApp line from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security for persons with disabilities.
Now, Jay, I want us to go back to an issue that we touched on earlier. Flo's report of vandalism that they've already seen. We're in Kasha Park.
Yes.
And I want to bring up those shots for our viewers. You know, it goes back to what happened last year when we had Beryl. Yeah. JPS reported having, similar issues where cables and other, equipment of theirs were stolen. Yeah. And what happened was that the very people who stole the equipment, they were the one who were affected in terms of, restoration of power.
Yeah. The government has said that they will be introducing stiffer penalties for people who continue to vandalize the services of our service providers, the network of our service providers, that should be, I beg your pardon. Prime Minister Andrew Holness spoke about this at the press conference yesterday. And of course, we will be tracking this more and more as we bring you updates. Of course, remember, you can join us again at 3 o'clock for our next Tracking Melissa update here on CVM TV. Stay with us, stay tuned to our social media pages. And I just want to quickly share with our viewers before we let you go, the WhatsApp number that you can send your videos to in your communities. Communicate with us, share them with us so that we can share them for you. And the WhatsApp line, and I'm just going to quickly get that number for you.
876-833-0897. So that's 876-833-0897. Send us your videos, send us your voice notes, your pictures, your name, where you're from.
Right, and just to say to our viewers, once it is safe for you to do so, not just asking to do this willy-nilly. If it is safe for you to so do, you can share your videos with us, and so we can share these during our live shows and communicate with us here on CVM TV. We'll be talking to some of you as well throughout the hurricane, getting word from you in your communities once you are able to do so. Once you have internet and are able to speak with us, we want to hear from you. And of course, we'll be hearing as well from St. Elizabeth when we come back at 3 o'clock. Jason Hensel down there. We'll also be hearing from the fire brigade as well. We have been speaking with the chief, but just to remind our viewers, if we could just bring that back up, the number or WhatsApp number for you to send your videos, whatever is happening in your community, take a video of it, share it with us here so that we can broadcast it. The number once more,
876-833-0897.
Remember, share your name and your location where you are coming from. But for now, that's it. That's all we have for you here on CVM TV in our Tracking Melissa update. Join us again at 3 o'clock where we will have another update for you. For now, I am Giovanni Dennis.
And I am Amoy Harriet. Pleasant viewing.